What the fuck is up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tony's Corner, a Gregor's segment. We're back to do another trailer reaction, people. We're going to be reacting to 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, freshly dropped a couple hours ago. I'm recording this like early in fucking morning, as you can tell. I am tired. I'm still waking up, so bear with me, folks, but we're going to be getting into the trailer reaction. So, a little background. If you're a diehard, movie fan like me, or you follow movie news, then you already knew about this. This was really not anything new. This is just, we knew it was coming. We were expecting it. We've been waiting for it. So now we're excited to finally see what happens. Just kidding. Some of us were pretty pissed off. I'm not going to lie. All right. So for those of you that haven't seen 28 Years Later, maybe don't watch this. But if you don't care about spoilers, or you'll watch it when you watch it, then you'll be okay here. But essentially, the first film, 28 Years Later, ends off where we're clearly going to get a second one. And like I said, if you're a movie person, you already knew this was coming. This is supposed to be the second film of a trilogy, and that was already apparent when the first trailer dropped. For the first film, 28 Years Later, people kind of already knew that, especially diehardies like me. So, and that's because this film and 28 Years Later were filmed back to back. And I think that the success of this film is what will really tell if we'll get another 28 Years Later. And I'm going to be honest, super disappointed in 28 Years Later. Upon first, second, third review, it took time, dude. This movie, it took a minute for it to grow on me. I was not a fan of it by any means necessary. I was pissed. But as time went on, I learned to find things that I do like. The story was a big part of it. I liked the father-son kind of element to it. I also like that it's a coming-of-age story. That was a big thing for me. As a parent, I liked that. But it wasn't what I wanted it to be. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It didn't have people in it that I thought were going to be in it, so that kind of sucked. But the story itself was good. Took a minute for the album to grow on me as well. That was my first introduction to 28 Years Later, was the album. The score that was not by John Murphy, and it was by Young Fathers. So it took a minute, but I will admit the score is good. It takes a while. It grows on you. This is a movie that you really have to take the time to watch and pick apart. And yeah, there's going to be flaws in it, but it's still something. There's something there for everybody. I would argue that this movie is good for setting up a new trilogy. It's not good as a follow-up to 28 Weeks Later and 28 Days Later. So there you go. But I think I've talked enough. Let's view 28 Years Later, the Bone Temple trailer.
Trying to predict the future is a discouraging and hazardous occupation. In fact, it may not even exist at all.
What was with all the people and stuff? That's crazy.
Oh, I am dead. None can
Wait a minute.
Many of the things we take for granted will one day pass away completely.
I open the door of heaven and hell.
When that time comes, men will no longer communicate.
January, okay. I was right.
We may have diseases and barbarism.
Interesting.
The whole world will cease to make any sense.
I open the door.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at the incredible changes we've experienced and survived. And yet even greater changes are still to come.
Are you ready?
I don't know what to think of that. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what to think of that. It's got a little more of what I was looking for in the first film, that's for sure. I wanted to see more wide shots, like more city stuff. I didn't necessarily need to know like what happened to the rage virus, like how'd that start. Like we already knew that, so we got a little bit of that introduction right away in the beginning of 28 years later. Like I said earlier, this film was supposedly shot back to back with the first 28 years later, so you can kind of tell. It's not directed by Alex or Danny Boyle, but Alex Garland is involved as well, so I mean that's okay. But Danny Boyle not being on board doesn't worry me too much, just because he kind of let me down with the last one. So I think it's fair to say we can replace him. I like him; he's a good director, but like, dude, replace him. Don't let him direct another one. But I guess he's directing the third one if this one does good. So we'll see. Looks like we get a little more of the Bone Temple too, like the actual temple itself. It also looks like we get a little background on Ralph Fiennes' character. If I'm saying his name wrong and you're like a name enthusiast, my apologies. But it looks like we get a little more background on his character. There's a scene right in the beginning of that trailer where he's looking at a picture, and I want to say it was a picture of what could have been young him and his wife at one point. Super heartbreaking. Or I didn't see it. It went too fast, and it was Jim from the first film. There's a lot of speculation that Cillian Murphy is going to be involved. Dude, I hope so. I've been wanting him to return since the second one. 28 days later is why I became a Cillian Murphy fan. So why isn't he showing up? What the fuck is going on? Supposedly, though, Danny Boyle has confirmed that he is going to be there, that he will be in this film. Or maybe he'll be in the third one. I didn't see him anywhere in the trailer. Maybe they're saving him for something. Dude, I'm going to be so pissed if they're saving him for the very end, like they did with the Jimmy Crystal character or whatever his name is, which is, dude, hilarious because you can clearly see that they're a cult, right? The cult of Jimmys. If you do your research, there's already a bunch of information on these characters. Jimmy, the character that shows up at the end of the first film, was the boy in the beginning back in 2001 or 02, whenever the rage virus broke out, according to the movie rules. Yeah, they done like it's an outfit that's supposed to be like I guess a character like by the name of Jimmy Savine or Slavine. I can't remember. I guess he was some famous, I want to say he was like a radio host or actor. I didn't look too much into it, but I know he's got a sketchy ass past, just judging by what happened after he died. So this was quite an odd decision for a film. That I am interested in. I want to know what the cult of Jimmy thing is about and why they're all wearing the blonde wigs. I do want to know, like, what happened in the city. I do want to see more shots of not just the Highlands, because that's where most of 28 years later takes place, is the Highlands. I would say it's all of it, basically. So we don't really get to see a lot of the city. And I do want to return to that. That's something that was missing from the second film as well. 28 weeks later, they really show you kind of the aftermath of things. And yeah, it takes place when they're able to go back to, they're able to go back to Great Britain, right? And it takes place in the city, obviously. So we get a little more of it, but not necessarily, because it's supposed to be isolated, which again, fine for the story. But these movies really haven't showed you a lot of like the destruction that was caused in the city. In terms of that aspect, the city, you get to see like, a lonesome city or a lonesome London, if you will. In the first film, yes. But I want to see more take place in the city. I want to see more of what happened to the land, not just up in the Highlands, not just in a cutoff, marked off zone. I want to actually see the global scale of this. I want it to be global. That would be the best way to put it, really. But, I will say this. I'm interested to see what happens to Spike. I want to know where Spike goes. I want to know where Dr. Kelson goes. Like, what is his character? What role does he play moving forward? Is he going to be a bigger role? Because that was something I was super disappointed in. I go to see this movie, and he's only in it for a few minutes. However, I went in knowing that there was going to be another one, so I figured he'd play a bigger role in that. So I'm really hoping there's more to him, because his character just didn't have enough screen time. And now I want to know, like, why is he the way he is? Why does he care so much about the dead? Why is he so cuckoo, as they would say? I also want to know what happens to Spike's dad. Does he go looking for him? Because, as a parent, I would, and I was interested in that part. But I also want to see the inclusion of the global scale. I want to see what happened, what really happened with the rage virus. Not just, oh, these are survivors, hunk down on this part of the city, or, oh, here's some survivors cut off from the mainland. I want to see the global scale. Please bring that back. If you're not going to bring that, at the very least, can they please bring back the intensity that the first film had? Because the second one, people love to complain and say that the second film, they say 28 weeks later does not have the intensity or the scares of the first film. I call bullshit. There are tons of intense there, dude. The beginning itself, like right there, that's scary enough. And then the end, like, well, if you know, you know, when they go to Code Red, that's when it gets scary too. I would argue that people misunderstand 28 weeks later and that it does have the same intensity as 28 days later. 28 years later does not. So if we're not going to have the global scale, if we're not going to see more violence thrown in there with action and gore, then at the very least, please show us the scares, because that was lacking in 28 years later. I got to be honest. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, yeah, I'm going to go see it and I want to, but I just don't know based on that trailer. I will say that the 28 years later trailer was pretty dope. It had me with like high hopes. But because of my experience with 28 years later and because it took a minute for it to grow on me, I just don't know how I feel about this trailer. It looks more of like what we got. So, I mean, maybe they're hiding shit from us. Who knows? I always say that the best trailer is one that gives you very little. So I went into this new one as little as you guys did. Again, this just dropped last night, so I didn't even try to look into any information. I just wanted to be surprised. Wasn't very much surprised, though. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for more trailers. I try not to watch too much trailers, guys. I try not to look too much into movies because it ruins the final product. Just my opinion. But that's all for now, folks. Thank you for watching another Great Girth segment of Tony's Corner. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like what you saw here and you want to see more, you can find us everywhere, including where you're watching it, whether it's Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, we're everywhere. And don't forget to check out the Great Girth podcast if you want a little more spicier, unfiltered, and political-esque content. But if not, stick here at Tony's Corner. I am Tony, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, and always, folks, remember to stay rad.